Welcome to A1R Psychic Radio here on Moonstruck TV with Amanda Hall, Psychic, all the way from the Gold Coast. If you felt that I was giggling at the beginning of the show, I certainly was. It's really interesting as we head towards the end of our Mercury retrograde. And Mercury retrograde is when anything communication-wise can go backwards or wrong or not connect or do its own thing. And it amazes me the more I suppose I work with astrology, and I've been working with astrology for a very, very long time now, that it doesn't matter how prepared you are for a Mercury retrograde and how fastidious you are or how OCD you are, it still seems to manage to get us each and every time. And I know this week for me, it's been particularly fun. You know, you go to do something and the email just disappears, or it connects you to somebody completely different that you weren't even thinking of ringing or contacting, and then all of a sudden, bingo, they're there in front of you, and you've got to sort of quickly find something to talk about or sort of apologise for disturbing their busy day. So I'm lucky and I'm pleased to say that Mercury retrograde will officially finish on the November 24. I always like to add another couple of days past that just to let Mercury sort of settle down and sort of say, okay, he's now gone back into his little box. He's going direct. He's behaving himself instead of being the trickster and trying to upset our day, and I suppose in some ways try and make us find something to laugh about or laugh at ourselves, which is probably a good thing. But anyway, Mercury happens, the retrograde happens 3 times a year for approximately 2 to 3 weeks each time. So it's not a new concept. It's something that we all get used to, and I think we all become a little bit complacent about it. And I know I do, because I sort of tend to think if we don't give it energy, it's not going to happen. Well, that's not exactly how Mercury works. It demands attention. So moving right along, our Simply Tarot card of the week this week is the Six of Swords. Now, the Six of Swords is boat or over water travel. It can be turning your boat out of troubled waters into much calmer times. Now, I know for many of you around the world, you've found that it's been an incredibly difficult week. And I'm not just talking about because we had Mercury retrograde, but because we've had so much influence and emphasis on the planets being in Scorpio, which is a very, very intense time of the year where we're all asked to duck under the covers and have a look at what's going on in our head and our mind and our emotions and our lives and our jobs and everything else all rolled into one package. We can find this very overwhelming. So it's a really positive card to see coming out today, as a lot of the planetary configurations are now starting to move out of Scorpio and into Sag, which is lovely. Another couple of days we'll see the sun move into Sag, and I'm going to breathe a sigh of relief, let me assure you. I just find it a very taxing time. It's not necessarily a difficult time for me, but I just sort of find the energy is so heavy, and everybody seems to be sort of not so much down, but sort of feel like they're really labouring to get things done. So that's the reasons why. I mean, it's really important that we honour the different star signs as the sun moves through the zodiac, and honour the different energies and what we're being asked to look at in our own personal world. So it is important that we have the Scorpio time of the year where we duck under the covers, but it's also equally important to see a card like this come out that says we're going to be able to turn our boat out of troubled waters into much calmer times. So having said that, I really hope that that means it's going to be an end to the bushfires that we've been experiencing here in Australia. They're raging in just about every state, the worst that we've ever seen. And whether you believe in climate change or you don't, I mean, everybody has their own personal opinion on that. Me, myself, and I do believe in climate change, and I do believe that we're handling the globe the wrong way. And this is why we're getting these severe weather events like the, once in 50-year flooding in Venice. And, they've had 2 or 3 goes at that now in the last week. And I'm sure there's lots of other weather events around the country. I'm not sure about the California fires. I've been so busy I haven't been able to catch up on the news. But wherever you look, there's been rainforests burning in the Amazon, things like that that have never, ever, ever happened before. And we do have to ask ourselves, what are we doing as a globe? And, are we responsible for this in some ways? We should be sort of listening to the scientists that are saying, yes, global warming is a real worry. It's a real danger, and we need to really start acting on that. So that's my soapbox issue for this week. But please keep everybody in your prayers and your thoughts, and sending positive energy to all those places around the world that might be affected by a weather event. Here in Australia, the bushfires are still raging, and it doesn't look like there's any end in sight. We don't know what rain is in this country at the moment, and we desperately need some. So we're all sort of doing our rain dances and praying for rain. Anyway, on to a more positive subject. let's have a little look at what's happening in the universe. We've talked about Mercury retrograde, and as I said, Mercury retrograde will officially finish on November 24. I'm going to ask you to allow that to be another couple of days after that, November 26th, here in Scorpio. So it's been a very, very, very intense time. Now, on the strength of that, we've got the planet Mars, the planet of action and opportunity, has just sort of moved into the sign of Scorpio and is holding hands, but it's a very wide holding hands. If you can almost imagine, they're only touching by their fingertips with the planet Mercury of communication. And they're sort of asking you to sort of ramp up your communication skills at the moment. They're asking you to sort of look at the tricky areas that might have been in your life, things that you've been putting off talking about. Maybe it's time to just formulating them, not necessarily maybe opening your mouth just yet, but getting ready in a few days' time that you can have these conversations and sort of open up communication in a way that hasn't been able to be done before. And because they are sort of sitting opposite, or sort of looking at being on a seesaw at the opposite end of the seesaw with the planet Uranus, which is like the unusual and the unexpected, this may then give us the opportunity to bring up those tricky subjects or that opening that we've been looking for. And sometimes it can be as simple as, I need to have a conversation with someone in the family about, the holiday season, who's coming and who's not coming, and can we not have any family arguments this year at the dinner table? So things like that are pretty tricky. Can I suggest leave it till about November 26 onwards? Don't do it before then, because you might not get the response that you're looking for. But it's always a time of the year where we do have communication that can be quite important. For those of you that might be looking to get a pay increase or sort of talk to your boss about your promotion, again, leave it till after November 26th. On a positive note, I still want to talk about the influences that are sitting in Sagittarius. We've had Venus holding hands with the planet Jupiter. So Venus is the planet of love and affection. Jupiter is the planet of expansion, opportunity, positivity, and broadening our horizons, are holding hands or conjunct in the sign of Sagittarius. So anytime we see something in Sag, yes, it's wonderful energy, it's positive, it's outgoing, it's fiery, it's outspoken, it's uplifting. It asks us to expand our higher mind and sort of the things that we believe in. But it also tells us to be very careful of expanding waistlines too, because Jupiter is the planet of opportunity and expansion. Sometimes Jupiter sort of says, you can just have that extra bit of cake, nobody's going to notice, or you can just have that extra slice of pizza. Unless you're going to weigh that up with, okay, an extra piece of cake or a slice of pizza means I'm going to go for an extra long walk around the block, or I'm going to do some extra time at the gym, or I'm going to skip the next meal. Be very aware of that, because sometimes Jupiter can just sort of lead us into a little bit of a lovely false sense of security that everything's going to be okay. But on a positive level, it's the time when we've got a beautiful aspect like this where we can really expand our horizons out. If you've certainly been searching for love or wanting to bring a more loving vibe into your current relationship or into your family, this is the time now. And that's what I said. If we join this up with the previous aspects that I spoke about, we've got some wonderful opportunities for having some really nice conversations or healing some rifts in family, which I think is really important as you guys overseas, our dear USA cousins, go into Thanksgiving next week. What a beautiful time that the planetary alignment is starting to line up to sort of maybe be the best Thanksgiving you guys have had in a very, very long time. Here in Australia, we don't celebrate that. I pity we don't. I think it'd be a really nice time to bring everybody together and sort of maybe just sort of calm things down as we head into the end of the financial year. We also have to remember that we've still got the difficult or the more, not so much difficult or struggling aspects, but the aspects that are sort of saying to us, this is the serious part of our lives. We've still got Saturn holding hand or conjunct Pluto and Capricorn. So this is where we've got to still sort of keep one eye on our finances, look at what's going on around us globally, look at what our local governments are doing, and really take our hat off and look very carefully at what people have got to say. Don't just follow the crowd. Make your own opinions, make your own choices. If you're in a country where you're heading to elections, make sure that your vote counts this time. Don't just go there and get your name marked off the roll. Make sure that your vote really counts. So having said that, we're going to work with our candles of the week. This week I've made up a gift box set of the love candle, the travel candle, and the passion candle. And the reasons why I chose these three is I think we all could do with a little bit more loving energy in our lives at the moment. And for many of us, we will be travelling as we start to sort of head towards the festive season. We get to travel and visit loved ones or come home for Christmas or come home for Thanksgiving. It's a really important time to make sure that our travels go smoothly. For those of us that might be just armchair travelling and sort of daydreaming about where you might like to go on your next holiday, well, that's the perfect candle for that as well. But I also like to bring in the passion candle, because the passion candle to me is the candle of where we can start to manifest our dreams. There's lots of things in life that we're passionate about, and it's not always about love affairs. It can be about the things that make you smile. For me, I just love to work with people. So that's my passion. It always has been that if I can bring a smile to someone's face each and every day, then I've done my job. I've done something that makes my heart sing. So the extra large candle this week I'm going to feature is the candle of dreams. Now, I think it's really important at this very difficult sort of emotional time where we've been going through the really heavy Scorpio sort of energy. Isn't it nice now, once we've ducked under the covers and we've sorted all that out, that maybe we can go into a dreamlike state and maybe daydream or dream about what's coming up in the future. So that's why I've chosen the dream candle this week, because I think it is time to sort of start putting our dreams out there. Get ready for next year, starting to sort of have a little bit of a jump start on our New Year's resolutions or the things that we want to make reality in the year 2020. And doesn't that sound like, my goodness, how did we creep up to the year 2020? I know there were songs sung about that back in the late last century in the 70s and 80s, and here we are. It really is going to be reality. For those of you that don't want to work with a candle, you can always pop down to your local department store or your supermarket and pick up an electric melt warmer. Yes, they are electric. Plug them into the power. You put a couple of teaspoons of your soy wax in there, turn the little switch on at the side. You're able to work with these without having a flame. So they make them very, very safe to use, particularly at this time of the year where we're all busy and we're decorating houses and things like that. And you might not necessarily always want a flame going. This is something that you can have your favourite scent going of your beautiful soy candle in your melt warmer, and it just makes the house smell beautiful and ready for the festive season. So we're going to take our first call now, which is Jean Wildwood in New Jersey. Are you there, Jean?
Yes.
Hi, Jean. Do you have a question I can work with, sweetie?
Not necessarily. I was hoping you had one for me.
Darling, I like to work with a direct question because we've got such a limited time here on the show. That enables me then to sort of give you some guidance and give you a little mini reading, rather than you sort of say to me, can I just have a general situation? And please don't ask me to connect with someone from the other side, because unless they want to choose to come through, I don't have a direct connection to whoever you might want to speak to. Quite often they'll interrupt the reading, and if so, I'll give you the information and the energy that they're sharing with me. So do you have a question I can work with, Gina?
Okay. Any insight on my future?
Any insight on your future? Okay. Again, that's a very vague sort of question because that can be open to a lot of different directions. I'll give you what they're giving me. What they're giving me is that this year, 2019 has been a year of endings, change and transformation. So it should have been a time where that you sorted out a lot of things in your life, where you let go of a lot of things, like everything was up for review, whether it was friendships, whether it was clothing, whether it was furniture or whatever, everything sort of got the once over. And we looked at what we needed to keep and we looked at what we were ready to release or move on to someone else. These are all positive steps in the fact that you're ready to sort of embark on a new direction in your life now coming up. I'm sort of seeing around March next year is when things are going to start to sort of take off. If you can imagine, you're like a plane. You're sitting on the tarmac, you're at the runway, you're sort of, you've started to warm the engines up, but you haven't been cleared for flight path yet. That's sort of the process we're at. We've already boarded the plane, you're sitting there, you're waiting for takeoff. I don't think takeoff is going to happen until about March, where we slowly start to taxi down the runway and then we sort of, have the departure. So 2020 is going to be a fairly action-packed year for you. Why am I seeing that there's still somebody that you need to discuss something with connected with matters of the heart? And I'm not talking about maybe a current situation. I'm talking about something that went way back. Was there someone there that the situation ended maybe in a way that you've never really had a chance to sit down and talk it through, or you still feel that there's things that you need to say?
Yes, there's two different situations. One is current and one is past.
Okay. They were bringing up the past one to me, the one that's not so current, the one before that, as sort of like you're going to get that opportunity and it's not going to be that far away. So I suppose what I'm suggesting to you, Gina, is have your questions ready. You know, like even if you write them down and you've got them in bullet point form, that when you get that opportunity, you will only get one bite at it. You know what I mean? And we need to get everything answered. We don't want to go and think, oh, gee, I wish I'd asked that or I'd brought that up. As far as the current situation's concerned, they're sort of showing me that we need to sort of just ease off a little bit. I appreciate that the situations that you want to bring up are important to you and do need to be dealt with. But for the moment, they're just sort of saying, can we just calm that down a little bit? It's maybe not quite the right time to bring everything up on that list. You know what I mean? Let's do one bit at a time. Sometimes I think I don't mean this to sound wrong, and I'm not criticizing you. I appreciate the fact that you are a person like me. You need answers to everything. And it's like, I need to know every intricate answer. I need all the details, and then I can sort of deal with it and put it where it needs to go. But sometimes the answer is there is no answers. If that makes sense, Gina, it's sometimes other people don't quite see the situation as being as important as we do. So they're just sort of showing me, don't get bogged down on, I didn't get a complete answer to that, and then miss out on dealing with the next thing on the list, because there's only going to be a short window, particularly with this one from the past, for you to get your answers. So we want to try and get as many things crossed off the list as possible so we can shut that door. And I'm going to say to you, when you do that, you're going to feel so much lighter. You're going to feel so much freer in yourself. As far as the present situation, I think that will resurrect itself, and I think we can take that into a much stronger direction for the future. So I hope that's helped you, Gina.
Okay.
Okay? Lovely. All right, we're going to move on to Ronnie now in Greensboro in North Carolina. Are you there, Ronnie?
Yes.
How can I help you today, Ronnie? Do you have a question I can work with, please?
Nah, not really. I was on Facebook and I saw that you had you posted a joint for a free reading.
Yeah, I normally like to work with a question if that's at all possible, Ronnie, because that gives me something to sort of, for my guides to kick in with information, because we've got such a limited time. It's easier for me to connect with you if you give me a question, please.
A question, okay. So my question would be, am I looking like, do I have any type of job that's going to basically, that I'm going to find? Am I going to find a job that's going to be right for me instead of like just working hard jobs that I'm not really getting along with? You know what I mean? Like, is it a job out there for me that I'm actually...
I do know exactly what you mean, Ronnie, and that's a really good question, because this is something that's very personal to you, and this is something that you've given a lot of thought to it, you know, where you're going, what you're doing, and why can't I attract the job to me that's going to make my heart sing to get out of bed and want to go to work. And, you know, and that's a really big issue, because most of us don't go into the sort of work that makes our heart sing. I mean, I suppose I've been fortunate enough that I have, but for the majority of people around the world, we take a job because that's what we've been trained to do, or it's the only thing that's available and helps us pay the bills. And, you know, we get to a certain point in our lives, and it's not saying that we're silly or we're whatever, but we get to a certain point and we think there's got to be more. You know, like I'm happy to get out of bed and go to work and work hard, but I want something that satisfies my soul as well.
Right.
And what they're showing me, Ronnie, is not this year, because we're nearly at the end of this year, but I do feel in 2020, and I'm sort of picking up around March, April, May, there will be an opportunity for you then to change jobs into something that I feel will make your heart sing. Now, they're saying to me it's not completely different to what you're doing now, but it's going to be sort of organised differently. So if you said to me, look, I'm a house painter and a decorator, this to me would be taking that part of that job that you really like and leaving behind the part that you don't like, and sort of being able to focus on the part that you really feel comfortable with is where the job's going to take you. So this new job to me is going to be not taking you out of your skill set, but it's going to be giving you the opportunity to really sort of shine. I think you're a natural born teacher. And, you know, a teacher doesn't necessarily mean going to a classroom and teaching children. We can all be teachers in our own right, in our own professions, by helping someone else achieve their brilliance, their opportunities. And I feel this is going to be partly what the role's going to be, is sharing your knowledge that you've amassed along the way with other people. And I feel that part of it's going to make your heart sing, because I think you are a natural born teacher and you love to sort of share things with people. You like to see that smile on their face, that they get so excited that they've been able to achieve something that they thought was impossible, don't you? And that's something that, you know, if you'd had your opportunities over again and the money was there, I think you probably would have gone into a teaching role, and that would have been, you know, what you were meant to do. But, you know, life doesn't always give us the opportunities that we need, you know, so we've got to make the best of what we're given. But I do see this next job, Ronnie, as giving you a chance to shine, like really shine. There's opportunities there for promotions, but the most important thing is you're excited to get out of bed and go to work. And to be able to do that and look at it as not a chore, but as something that I feel like this is making my heart sing, is really important. I mean, yes, it's important too that we have the financial reward out of it as well. And I am seeing that, and I am seeing there's a bit more money there than what there is in the current role. But to me, the most important thing is that you get excited, you look forward to going to work, and it's good. And you feel finally it's like I'm at home in my place of employment, of where I should have been a long time ago. Aside from that, do you do something in the community that's involved working with children?
No, I watch my kid, my daughter. I got 8 girls, and I pretty much try to babysit until I can find employment.
Well, I understand that being a parent is one of the most beautiful and amazing roles that we take on, I think, as human beings. But just be aware, I think in this next 12 to 18 months, I think there's going to be a tiny little bit more of not so much free time, but maybe time working with your children that will open up to something that, you know, something that you're taking the girls to. But there will also have a layer to that of working with other people's children or something like that in a community thing that's also going to make your heart sing too. So I think 2020 is going to be an amazing year for you, Ronnie. It's like all the stars are aligning and everything's starting to shine on you for the very first time in a very, very, very long time. But you're certainly very fortunate and very wealthy man, in as much as the love that you've got from your girls is just, it's just flows everywhere. And that's the greatest wealth any of us can have, I think, is the love of our children. And, you know, to see them grow and become confident young people is what we're here for. And you're doing an amazing job, Ronnie. You really are. So I think you just need to sort of focus on, you know, it's not the material side of life that should bring a smile to our face. It's the smiles of our children and seeing them grow and develop and become individuals and, you know, giving them the confidence to achieve what they need to achieve in their lives. And that's the important role I think we play as parents. And you're doing absolutely an amazing job with that. But is there one of the girls that's sort of maybe the second or third baby that has got a real natural smile and likes to dance and sing? There's one of the younger ones there to me that's really destined to become quite famous, but she's a real natural little actress.
Yes.
And she sort of can wrap everybody around her little finger, can't she?
That's crazy. I was just watching it in school today. Wow, that's crazy you said that. But yes, it's the third from, I got 8, but it's the third one, like you said. It's not the new baby, but the third from the youngest.
Yeah, that's the one. The third from the youngest was what they showed me. Look, all the girls are amazing, but that little one just sort of pushed her way through to say, hey, look at me, I'm going to be famous. And it was like, you know, she just has no fear of anything. I mean, all the girls are going to do very, very well throughout their life. And I wish I had time to go through each and every one of them. But that was the one that was being pushed forward to me, that I had to acknowledge that how amazing she is. And it doesn't mean that the other girls aren't amazing. They are. So I'd like to thank you, Ronnie, for the opportunity to work with you. It was absolutely fabulous. Thank you. So we've come to the end of the show again this week. I hope that you found something informative, and be kind to each other in this next 7 days as we head towards this very busy festive time of the year where we all seem to get caught up in the shopping and the purchasing of food, and we forget to smile and take time to stop and have a conversation with people and tell them how much we love them. I think that's the most important thing. Telling somebody how we feel about them and how important they are to us outweighs any sort of present that you could buy with dollars and cents. So until next week, make sure that you're kind to each other, keep everybody in your prayers with these weather events around the world, and look forward and get excited to the Sagittarian time of the year. Bye for now.